Good evening. This is Brian Thomas Simons, and these are the main headlines of this hour. Among other news,
New 166 executive decisions were released in the Oval Office during the weekend. Among them, 1. State Secretary Rubio won't be referred to as Secretary Little Marco or Lil Marco in official White House communications. At the Oval Office presentation, President Trump admitted this was the fourth time an executive decision was issued about this topic at the insistence of the state secretary, but that he couldn't help himself. 2. From now on, Canada and Greenland will be admitted not as states but as territories of the United States. The diminished status was explained by the last Canadian elections and polls in Greenland that implied hostility to the annexation. Asked about the reactions of Canada and Denmark to his decision, President Trump said that it was all Biden's fault. 3. Secretary Little Marco will stay in the Maldives until further notice, but will remain in competition in The Apprentice, White House edition, and be informed of the changes made by DOJ to his department if Elon Musk considers it necessary. Asked whether this decision changed any previous decision, President Trump smiled and declared that it didn't, but that it gave him the chance of calling him Little Marco. Secretary Rubio thanked him for the gesture from the Maldives. Senator Schumer to start anger management therapy after his bold threat of sending a strong letter to President Trump. Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer will have to start anger management therapy as his threat to send a strong letter to President Trump was considered too aggressive by DNC Chair Ken Martin. Our approval has been falling because voters fear we might be too uncivil at some time in the future. If we don't send them a clear signal that we will keep caving to Republicans in the name of bipartisanship, they might never vote for us again, added Chair Martin. MSNBC is next media network to cave to President Trump. To atone for Trump's perceived grievances, MSNBC will have to purchase an undisclosed amount of $Trump meme coins, and host Chris Hayes will present the special 32 Days to the Rapture. The special will include segments featuring 1. Senator Schumer's strong letter, 2. Revised predictions of precisely when and in what swing states Jesus will come to get out the vote for the Republican Party, 3. Trailer of Reverend John Hagee's new Left Behind movie, 4. Testimonies of televangelists where they confirm that President Trump, not Jesus Christ, will sit at God's right. Confirm that Stormy Daniels is playing the role of Mary Magdalene in Luke's chapter 25's prophecy that declares that Trump is the new Messiah that will make America great, and that Jesus Christ will come later as his aide. Former President Biden's dog commander could find asylum in Canada's embassy after weeks of being tracked by the FBI. As President Trump revoked the pardon granted by his predecessor, the FBI had been hunting him down across the nation to make him accountable for 5 bodies buried in the White House's gardens. President Biden's lawyer claims commander's pardon was valid, and all evidence says that at least 2 of the bodies were victims of the president's sons Don Jr. and Eric, who have also been granted pardons. After years of indescribable horror due to Putin's threats, which forced them to appease him in the war in Ukraine and harm their own countries, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and former President Biden still have nightmares about the Russian dictator. In the case of the former American president, off-the-record sources declared that the condition was worsened by top national security advisor Jake Sullivan, who had fun frightening Mr. Biden with stories about escalation. Approached by reporters inquiring if this would affect his spot in the 2028 Harris-Biden ticket, Senator Schumer emphatically denied the rumors. It's precisely that which makes him an authentic Democrat. Asked whether Democrats would not benefit more with somebody stronger, like FDR, the senator declared, "No, FDR was a myth. He was not real, just a tale. He never existed. Never." President Biden once more caught trying to start his second term as he tried to sneak into the White House through the entrance for tourists. A security officer declared off the record that this was the 4th time this had happened. We have talked to his relatives, but they say that Mr. Biden is dead set convinced of his victory and that he beat Medicare. We have warned them that we have a restraining order already and that we will have to go to a judge if they don't do something about this issue. Former President Biden convokes press conference in his residence to announce his first decision for his second term, which would consist of declaring a Memorial Day to honor his uncle eaten by cannibals and his own victory over Medicare. With Senator Schumer and DNC Chair Ken Martin in attendance, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries declared that change was coming and that this was an excellent way to start the 2028 campaign for the ticket Harris-Biden. Ocasio-Cortez and the Squad decide platform for Ocasio-Cortez's run in 2028 presidential primaries. After days of negotiations, New York Representative Ocasio-Cortez and the other members of the Squad agreed on the points that will spearhead her campaign in the upcoming presidential primaries. 1. The child tax credit will be increased to $5,000, but male beneficiaries will have to prove they have used the Amelia Perez toxic masculinity deconstruction method. If male beneficiaries can't afford the surgery, the federal government will pay for it in the hospital of their choice. 2. Offensive statues will be removed from public places according to a list Black Lives Matter will provide at the end of every fiscal year. 3. Every woke activist will be secured a position as DAI executive or consultant in her administration. Asked about whether Bernie Sanders agreed with the platform, the New York representative declared that he had been removed from the party because he kept talking about money in politics, the Voting Rights Act, unionization, minimum wage, and other boring stuff. He kept talking about oligarchy instead of the patriarchy, so we had to get rid of him, added Representative Rashida Tlaib, also a member of the Squad. Tariffs Czar Peter Navarro and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, dismissing Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's fears, are preparing a new assessment of the economy, based on alternative facts, after dismissing the unfounded fears sown by Bessent in President Trump. According to this assessment, 1. The economy is great. The economy is beautiful. 2. Only MAGA members will be able to perform the jobs of the future. I must be clear on this. Being a MAGA supporter won't be enough. You must be core MAGA to be able to perform these jobs, added Navarro. 3. Tariffs are great and all countries love them, even China. 4. Immigrants are evil and all countries hate them, even China. 5. Ukraine, understanding that Mr. Zelensky is evil, will embrace President Trump's leadership and accept Putin's choice for their next president. This will start a new century of prosperity for everybody. 6. The working class will be happy to invest their retirements in Trump meme coins, and even workers from foreign countries will demand them, but American workers will have priority. 7. There will never again be recessions or inflation, and everybody will be happy when Trump starts his third term. This will start God's kingdom on earth. After Supreme Court validates the use of doctored photographs using Photoshop as evidence in the Abrego Garcia case, President Trump starts his 2028 campaign doing the same to the foreheads of his likely opponents with words that will remind voters why they didn't vote for them in 2024. Approached by reporters, Senator Schumer declared that he has disagreed with President Trump in another strong letter, especially the part that requires tattooing or branding such words in their actual foreheads, but that, as a Democrat, he will abide by Trump's executive decision because it was his duty to cave to Republicans. Man who stole a cop car while awaiting trial for stealing another cop car joins the Republican Party. Daniel Barton, 34, from Wisconsin, declared that I stole them cop cars because it was my sincere religious belief and because I'm a patriot. His lawyer declared that Barton, as in the case of Jack R. Blank, a man from Adams County, Illinois who, after invoking the sincere religious belief defense used by the January 6 riot defendants, was awarded $100,000 by Adams County, his client has also been awarded a similar amount and that, as in Blank's case, the arresting officers have been put on administrative leave and will have to go through religious sensitivity training.
This has been the news of this hour. Sponsored by Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit. Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? Did you vote for Trump in 2016 and then in 2020? This is the right church for you. If so, Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit is the only Christian church that can promise you in the Lord to have 72 virgins in heaven for only a donation of $50 a month. You will have access to those 72 virgins in heaven. For an additional $25, you will be allowed to replace 10 of them, and for $100, Heaven Premium, you will be allowed to choose them for yourself. Guaranteed, if you're not satisfied with those 72 virgins after you die, full refund of your money. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover.